Good morning. Today is day 18 of doing no sugar. And by no sugar, I mean no added sugars. I'm still eating fruits and things like that that have natural sugars. I'm still drinking milk, but I'm checking the ingredients of every single thing I put in my body and making sure it has zero added sugars. Now, I started doing this on November 20th. And you might ask, why did you start a no sugar diet, right in the holiday season, right before Thanksgiving? And I figured if I can do no sugar during Thanksgiving and the holidays and winter break and all of these times where, people can easily rack up their sugar counts, if I can do it then I could do it literally whenever I want, right? It's going to be easy for me to maintain this throughout the year. So I'm going to share with you so far what my experience has been like in the first 18 days and what I've learned and the benefits I've seen so far. So the first thing I tried to do when I started this challenge was try to get a few of my friends and family on it with me. And obviously most people said no, which I completely understand. But some of my friends were very supportive and wanted to do it with me. And even my mom, when I told her that I was doing the no sugar challenge, she was so excited and wanted to do it with me. Let me tell you, by day 18, everyone has dropped. I'm the only one who's still doing it, and that's completely fine. But, that's a reality of these kinds of challenges, right? It's actually a lot harder than I thought to do no added sugar. I'll tell you about my mom. She actually was doing it with me for the first week, and I went home during Thanksgiving weekend, right, from Wednesday to Sunday of last week. And we were doing so well on the no sugar, and in our family we eat quite healthy because we're all quite health conscious. So eating no sugar at home is not that big of a deal. But in our first Costco trip, she saw the Costco flan and folded so fast. So I didn't touch the Costco flan, but my mom and sister really enjoyed it. But no hate, but if you try to bring people along the journey with you, this is exactly what's going to happen. Now, another really sad thing that happened to me during the no sugar challenge was I actually hosted a little Friendsgiving get together, like a potluck, a few days before I decided to start the no sugar challenge. So I hosted it on the 18th. And I ended up I baked desserts. I made my signature lemon bars, which have a ton of sugar, but they taste delicious. One of my buddies gave me 2 giant tubs of my favorite kind of ice cream too. And I have a huge sweet tooth, so I really love that. And it was so painful when I decided to start the no sugar. I just had to toss them out. I tried to give away as much as I could, but at a certain point it was starting to go bad. So I ended up just tossing it. It's quite sad, but you have to do what you have to do. And I consider myself quite a disciplined person. Like I am able to do these kinds of challenges with relative ease, but no sugar is not something I've ever done before. But I didn't think it would be that hard because I didn't think I ate that much sugar in my regular diet. I track everything I eat already. So I didn't think it would be that much harder than what I was already doing, but I was completely wrong, especially because I was traveling for Thanksgiving. So let me tell you what surprised me. So the first thing was I make the same meal prep for every single lunch and dinner of every day. I eat the exact same thing. And it's like a formula that I have down, right? It's great nutrition. It has veggies, it has great macros. And I make the exact same thing every day. But turns out the pasta sauce that I was using has 4 grams of added sugar per serving. Like, it's not even sweet. Like, who puts added sugar in pasta sauce? But turns out, pasta sauce, it depends on the brand, does have added sugar. I was using the Prego pasta sauce that I got from Costco because that's the cheapest one that they have. And turns out that has added sugar. So I actually had to replace the pasta sauce to either Kirkland marinara sauce that has no added sugars or Rayo's sauce. A lot of people I know love the Rayo sauce and they swear by it. It's a little bit more expensive, but that also has no added sugars. Yeah. A couple things that I was also surprised by was there were some things that are really sweet that actually don't have added sugars in them. So things like 100% apple juice or the Martinelli's apple cider, those actually don't have added sugars, but they still have a lot of sugar from the fruit itself because if it's 100% juice, there's technically no added sugars. And I know that's kind of a cop out, so I actually haven't been having these kinds of items as well, but I'm just aware of that. If I really need to, like, if there's a social situation, if I'm at a function or something, I really need something, then I guess I could go for an apple cider or something like that. Anyway, traveling for Thanksgiving was a lot harder than I thought, because when I went home, we attended a like a family friends function, right? We have like a group of a few families. We all get together for all of these holidays, and I went to the function, and I was so prepared to do no added sugar, right? And I was doing so well too. I was eating the salad, I was eating a lot of fruits, and I actually ate beforehand so I wouldn't feel so hungry at the Thanksgiving function that I would feel tempted to eat all of these sugary things. And typically, a lot of the savory foods that we were having didn't have any sugar in them, as far as I know. But where I actually got sabotaged was the dessert. So I told my mom I was doing this no sugar challenge, and you know how the auntie circles work. All of the aunties at this function already knew that I was doing the no sugar thing. So by the time it got to dessert time, one of the aunties who made the dessert, she came up to me and she's like, "Wow, I heard you were doing no sugar. I made a special dessert that has no sugar just so that you could participate." And I was like, "Wow, this is so sweet. I would love to try it." So it was these little dessert cups, okay? And we were having them. And I took a couple spoons of it and I was like, "Wow, this is really sweet, Auntie. How did you make this so sweet without any added sugar?" And then that's when it hit me. She told me, "Yeah, I didn't add any sugar. I just sweetened it with vanilla ice cream and caramel." And I was like, "Oh my God, of course." That's why it was so sweet. So I just had a couple bites of that and I ended up just handing it off to my grandpa. And um, so that was I guess my only slip up of my no sugar challenge so far in the first 18 days, which I honestly think is not that bad. I only had a couple spoons of it, so I don't think it'll really affect any of the results that much. Another thing that this no sugar thing has done to me is realize that, you know, the social aspect of eating really revolves, or part of the social aspect of eating really revolves around the sugar. And what I mean by that is, like, sometimes you can feel excluded from social situations just because you're doing a certain diet or just because you're doing this no sugar thing. For example, I was working in lab, you know, the week of Thanksgiving before I went home. And, you know, the lab manager of our center ended up making some like pumpkin bread for some of the lab members. She offered me some. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing this no sugar thing. I can't have any." And, you know, it was completely fine. But then I noticed that, you know, all of the people who did say yes, you know, they form a little group, they eat the desserts together, and then you kind of feel left out because you're not partaking. And, you know, I don't hold it against them. It's completely normal, but it's just something that is part of the experience, I guess. And, you know, things like this happen when you're doing a challenge like this, right? You know, your friends are gonna want to go get desserts, and like, if you go, you're gonna feel left out if you don't get something, or you just don't go and you feel like the FOMO of not being able to go with your friends. So things like that happen. So that's been my experience so far. But what were the actual results of the first 18 days of doing this challenge? Well, the first I've only noticed really two main differences. The first one is that my skin feels like it's a lot clearer. So I'm at the later stages of my bulk right now, so I'm eating quite a higher amount of calories than I'm used to, and you know, as a result of that, I'm eating more fats in my macros. And I've noticed that in the past month before I started this no sugar challenge, I was actually breaking out a little bit. I was getting a few pimples here and there, which is fine, but you know, I just assumed that it was part of the bulking process. But I noticed that when I started the no sugar thing in the past like week or so, like all of the pimples have completely disappeared and my skin is really cleared up, honestly, which is really nice. It might be the new phone. This is my first video on the new phone. Maybe that's making my skin look better. But I really think genuinely that my skin has improved from doing the no sugar. And that's kind of in line with what I expected to happen. Everywhere I've seen online, people notice improvements in their skin when they do no sugar. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do this to begin with. And the second thing I've noticed is my energy levels. So typically, and my energy levels are usually quite high to begin with. So I didn't think I would get that much of a difference. But what I noticed was typically when I travel, especially when I go back home, like I'm not tracking my calories when I go home, even though I try to eat healthy. I normally eat a lot more sugar at home, although this trip I didn't. Okay, so that was the main difference. And normally, when I do eat a lot of sugar, previously when I would go home, I would go home, come back, and it would be really difficult for me to get back into my routine. Like, I would feel very lethargic the first few days. Whereas this time, when I came home, I was like itching to get back on my routine. I was itching to get back to my normal, like super locked in daily routine, doing all my habits. And it was really nice. Like, I just got back yesterday and I'm fully back in my routine. Usually it takes me like a couple of days to fully get back. Usually I do some aspects of my routine and it takes a few days to really get back into the groove of things, but this was instantaneous. Like the day I got back, I had a perfectly normal routine day, which felt amazing for me. And my energy levels have not faltered even though I did travel. And I'm traveling again this upcoming weekend. So we'll see if these benefits carry on to the next trip as well. Anyway, that's been my experience. It's been 18 days of no sugar. I'll keep you updated. I'm going to keep going as long as I can on this diet and let you know how it goes.